All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment,
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.
Welcome. I'd like to thank all you guys for joining us for Dust Off the Cartridge Volume... What volume is this? Volume 2, Episode 18. I am your gracious and beloved host, Metro Meta, he who shall not be named, and I am here with the wonderful...
At Flo's my hero, aka Flo, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy. And it's actually been a minute since we've done, well, it actually hasn't been a minute. We've actually recorded like 2 or 3 dust off the cartridges. I just wasn't feeling them in post production and decided to tank it. But we are back. It's been a minute, so we have a lot of video game news and stuff to get to. But just to kick it off, Morgan, what are you playing with right now?
So I'm doing a day-night cycle of Animal Crossing, and I just got one of my ugly villagers just decided to leave the island. So tomorrow I have a meeting with my teacher, and I'm going to be hopefully looking for new villagers. And I've also been playing Persona 5 Royale. That's a lot of fun.
Is that so? What's the difference between Persona 5 Royale and just regular Persona 5 that came out last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
How what's the difference?
So this is sort of a weird tradition in Japan, or at least with JRPGs. Before you get to like the PS3 and the Xbox 360, when they started to integrate like the stores and stuff, what they would do is they would re-release games. So they'd release the games, and then they would add in a bunch of new content and story elements and a couple of quality of life enhancements and some other stuff, and they would re-release it. So they did that with Kingdom Hearts. That's how come Kingdom Hearts gets its titles, where it's like Kingdom Hearts 2.58 blah 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 blah. So they do it a lot with Kingdom Hearts. Persona gets that a lot with Persona 3 FE, Persona Portable, and then you have Persona 4 Golden and Persona 4 the original. So they do that a lot. So with Persona Royale, what they added was a lot of quality of life enhancements, 2 new confidants, and a new ending to the game. And they also added something that I think a lot of people didn't cover as much. They added a Thieves' Den, which is sort of like a little display hangout area where you can collect where you can rewatch the story and collect different parts of it.
Okay, very. So what new parts of the game have you liked on this one?
So I think the biggest thing honestly has been the quality of life enhancements that they added. So one of the things that you'll notice, like in the first game, for palaces, unless I was on New Game Plus, it normally would take me 2 to 3 in-game days to do it. But with Persona Royale, they give you a lot of SP items. So the first palace, I beat the first palace in 1 day, and then I got to do the boss battle for Madarame's palace. Madarame, because of like story events, takes about 4 days to do as fast as possible. So I think just being able to do that is so much better because you get to max out confidants quickly and get to as many of them as possible. Like I've already maxed out on Takamaki, the doctor, and I'm almost done with Makoto and the teacher. And so that just gives you a lot of things to do. Okay. Especially, and I think the best part so far that I've seen has got to be one of the new students. Kazumi, I think is her name. So she's a brand new student, and she's supposed to join the game close to the 3rd semester. So I don't have her yet, but I have maxed out her confidant.
So what semester are you on right now?
there's 2 semesters. There's the first semester the game takes place on, and then there's a second semester after the ending of the first game. And so you have to do certain things to get the second semester.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So currently I am playing Streets of Rage 4. That's actually been pretty fun just because I remember playing Streets of Rage 3 at Nicola Play growing up. So that's been a very nostalgic straight play. I have been brushing up on my Mortal Kombat skills, getting ready for Evo, possibly, but I am not too sure. I am also playing Resident Evil 3. So I actually...
How do you feel about Resident Evil 3?
I like it. I think it's great. I like it. Actually, I like it better as a remake than the original. But yeah, no, I enjoy it. I'm playing like 2K. I'm playing the show. Oh, MLB The Show. And I can finally say I did it about 2 weeks ago. I finally brought a World Series championship back to the crib. So in my game, in my franchise player, I'm outfielder for the Colorado Rockies. And in my rookie season, I was the home run champ. And I was Rookie of the Year. And I brought the first World Series championship to Colorado. So yeah, shout out to me for that. I also tried to challenge myself on NBA 2K a little bit more. I am currently a slashing in and out scorer, playmaker, in and out small forward for the Charlotte Hornets. And if you know anything about the Hornets basketball team, you know they're not good. So trying to will yourself into like championship caliber is super hard. And I didn't think it would be this hard, but like losing to like the Celtics and the Bucks and the Lakers, and it has not been a good feeling. It's something I'm not used to just because in my other career I was with the Bulls, and the Bulls at least had like at least a little bit of talent around me so that I could work and I could like create. But the Hornets literally have nobody. So just me by myself. I remember one game I dropped 56 points and we still lost. So yeah, but no, that is what I am currently playing during this quarantine. I'm actually looking about playing Final Fantasy, and I was thinking about getting Animal Crossing, but I'm not too sure about that. But speaking of Animal Crossing, our first segue, our first major point, being black in Animal Crossing. Morgan, did you check out that article?
I did not check it out. Let's see. So, why don't you give them a rundown of what it's about?
So basically it talked about how in the first Animal Crossing, New Horizon...
This is the first console. It's not the first Animal Crossing.
No, I know. What was the first Animal Crossing?
It was just Animal Crossing.
Okay, and the first Animal Crossing game which was probably the DS, right?
No, GameCube.
For the GameCube, no, in 2013.
That's New Leaf.
New Leaf, okay. So in Animal Crossing New Leaf, it talked about how there were no black players you could choose from, but you would have to, of course, like in this Animal Crossing, you would work your way up till you could purchase your Mii mask, and you can use that. But in this Animal Crossing game, it talks about representation and how important it is, and how this Animal Crossing really tried to hit it on the nails. How do you feel as just a person who is black and plays Animal Crossing? Do you feel like they had enough? Did you feel like your skin tone was represented in this?
Well, let's see. That comes with a few qualifications. The first is that, like, yeah, you are more represented. They did do that way more than in past games. I didn't play them, but just knowing both Nintendo and how these things tend to go, they didn't really emphasize it, and they probably had limited scope.
Okay.
As far as today goes, I mean, they still have the Pokemon problem where it's like, yeah, you can be black, but it's like black couple shades black. It's like light skin black.
Right.
Like you can be like Jussie Smollett black, but you're not gonna be like Hennessy Kanye Black. Like, that's sort of the way I view it. That being said, New Horizons does do way more when it comes to representation as far as these shows go. Like, one of the things that you'll notice is you can wear basically any outfit no matter what gender you are, which is something that even Pokemon doesn't do.
That's nice.
You can basically, once you get the mirror, you can change your character's gender whenever you want to. And the game doesn't punish you or anything. You can still look like a boy and still classify yourself as a girl, which is always going to be nice. And so I just find
so you feel like gender fluidity was really represented in this game?
Yes, they definitely did have a lot more gender fluidity built into this game specifically.
Very dope. So as a whole, just like talking about Animal Crossing, what would you give it? Like out of 10, what would you give it?
Honestly, even without knowing everything that's coming out for the rest of the year, I would say Animal Crossing is probably Game of the Year material.
I also would say it came out at the right time, just because.
But see, that's why I'd say it's Game of the Year material, because it's a game that basically it has defined this year for quite some time, and for a large collection of the population. Like, you will see tons of celebrities talking about it. You see everybody's playing it, and as far as pure like effect on cultural, on just the culture in general, this game seems to be the one that is inspired the most. Even though I know the Game of the Year is probably going to be Cyberpunk 2077, no matter what.
Even though I don't know if it's even coming out this year.
They say they're gonna stay on target, and
we'll
CD Projekt Red, they're on that Naughty Dog stuff, so they will definitely, even if they have to crunch their employees, they will make that date. It's just gonna be a matter of how it's received, which it's CD Projekt Red. It's going to be received extremely well.
Yep. But yeah, enough about Animal Crossing. Moving on. Morgan, have you heard of Summer Game Fest?
No, I have not.
So this may be the nail in the coffin when it comes to E3, just because Summer Game Fest is going to be a festival, and it's online between May and August, and you're going to have special announcements, special gameplay, and it's really filling in the void with other conferences that cancels, like GDC, South by Southwest, E3, and Gamescom. So it's really, and it's going to be, I'm trying to see who, let me see
who's in charge of that. It's not the Game of the Year guy. What's his name?
No, but I will say events will stream on all major channels, including Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
So I'd like to congratulate Mixer's 5 viewers and their ability to get on this prestigious stream.
Okay, yeah, no. And so Jeff Keighley will act as...
Yeah, he's the guy in charge of the Game Awards.
Yeah. He will act as curator and host for the pre- and post shows in a lineup that includes companies such as Bethesda, Blizzard Entertainment, CD Projekt Red, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Riot, Sony, and Square Enix. So this is really
good because one of the reasons why people are upset with E3 and why it was dying was everybody at E3 had to have their own show, and oftentimes they didn't have a lot of stuff to show. Like, if you remember, well, you probably didn't watch it, but if you watched Bethesda's E3 event last year, it was awful. It felt like it was basically nothing, and they didn't have that much to show, and Sony didn't really have that many third parties in theirs last time they went there. And so I think this is a great way of just them just figuring out a way to still have these major online shows, because now these companies know that they really don't have to go to E3 to sell their games.
Right.
They can put out, like, Assassin's Creed did that this week. They put out Assassin's Creed Kingdom coming out holiday with just a CGI trailer.
Right.
And they are one of the number one games selling and they're one of the most number one talked about.
Will you
games.
be playing the new Assassin's Creed?
Here's the thing. I haven't played a lot of Assassin's Creed. I bought Origins and I played a little bit of it. What I did play, I liked. I bought Odyssey. I wanted to play Origins, but I feel like going back to Origins after Odyssey is gonna be awful.
Okay.
But I am a bit excited for this game just because of just a lot of the features that they're talking about, and it's an interesting way of looking at it. I do like that. One of the things that I'm going to give Ubisoft credit for that a lot of people don't like to say is they did do a lot. Like, people always say, like, all Ubisoft games are the same and that they never change. But with these last two Assassin's Creed games, they dared to actually change their key franchise. And a lot of people don't like it, and they just want to go back to their self. But for me, you can't say, oh, we want change, and then when they change it, you go, but we don't want that change.
Yeah, no, definitely. Shout outs to them. But Game Fest is happening May through August of this year, and you can get more information. This isn't an ad, but you can get more information at summergamefest.com. Now, moving on. It's more events. It's official. Evo 2020 will be online. I will say, just as a person who does follow the fighting game community, I will say it's kind of difficult because have you done any FGC games online, Morgan?
No.
So it's just like when you're fighting online, there's delays,
Yes.
and certain characters have advantages over others, and so that's what's going to be the most difficult. Just because, even I was watching, who was it? I think Porkchop.
I think this will definitely mean that Super Smash Bros. Is going to be difficult in FGC online.
Right. I think Super Smash Bros., Dragon Ball Z Fighter, even Tekken to an extent will all like have challenges, just because when it comes to delays are really one of the main things that are just that's very concerning when it comes to fighting games, and just like people know that, like, wow, like this is going to like hurt me if I, like, people know, like, of course when you study like fighting games, when you're going up against a certain character, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna lose because he has this delay on me. And so yeah, I think this will be very challenging for Evo just to see. But it's good to see that they're kind of trying to be innovative when it comes to this. But like, once again, like with everything, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it moving forward. Moving on. Morgan, did you happen to see Travis Scott in concert on Fortnite?
I saw the video of it.
How did you think of that?
It's interesting. So, Fortnite has done this before when it comes to like doing it. They did it with, like, I think it was Marshmello. And for me, the interesting part was seeing the reaction of the gaming community to this, because Fortnite is the hated kids game. It was what Minecraft was. So people tend to hate on Fortnite, and this again is Travis Scott, and a lot of people really into games don't really know who that is. And so I've seen a lot of game people, and they were just sitting there like, I guess Travis Scott did a show. I have no idea who this person is. And it was interesting for me to see that perspective of somebody who's so big and influential, and a lot of people online being like, who is this? Mostly because it reminds me of a lot of how I feel whenever like their stuff comes up. Like whenever Bethesda comes up and they start out their show and they're doing like the rock concert at the beginning, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it to be over because I don't care.
Right.
Like, I feel like now I'm on the other side where I'm like, oh yeah, this is stuff I'd actually listen to, and I'd actually like it.
All right. So following in Travis Scott's footsteps, Diplo did an all-day mix for Fortnite, and it was like a concert stage, and people could come in and watch Diplo throughout the day. So I think this may be the new norm when it comes to Fortnite players and just musical acts. And I think the next step will be you have to pay to see them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I think that's going to be the next Loot Crate. They're like, hey, if you buy this Loot Crate, you'll be able to see this artist on this stage. If you buy this level of Loot Crate, you can see this artist on this stage. Or if Blizzard is listening to this, disregard all of that and send me the check. And then we can talk about it. But next up, is it Riot or Blizzard? Riot. Okay, my fault. Next up, Stadia gets with the times. Morgan, have you seen any Stadias being played anywhere?
No one's playing Stadia. Which I actually want to talk about this. So EA, the company that makes FIFA, they announced, I think it was a couple days ago, that they're going to be supporting Stadia a lot more, and that they're going to be porting their games there, which for me is very upsetting, just because like the Switch hasn't had a lot of support from EA,
Right.
and it has twice the amount of, it is more than the amount of players in Stadia by a mile. It's one of the number one consoles out there, and yet they can't be bothered to port over a FIFA game.
Right. But the real news, Google Stadia 2.16 press for 4K, HDR for Android TV, capture link sharing, and more. So they're basically doing what other companies have already been doing, of course. So they're basically like, hey, you could be able to capture your play on broadcast. So the interesting thing I will say is it'll be interesting to see how they link in, if they'll like, hey, be directly to YouTube. I feel like that is the way to go, just because Stadia and YouTube are owned by Google. So it'll be like, hey, I feel like Stadia can even be its own streaming site.
Well, that was the ideal, was that Stadia would be a sort of a hub. Like, you could watch a YouTube video.
And so I feel like the next step should be Stadia to offer, like, they can't offer Ninja, but to offer like a big streamer, like, yo, here's some cash, come shoot exclusively for Stadia, and you can be on YouTube. And not only will you get money from us, you'll get money from like your YouTube numbers as well. And it's definitely going to be interesting to follow. But moving on, Xbox Series hardware will be on time, but games may be late. And I actually think this is going to be the same way that the PS5 will be. I feel like the hardware will be here, but the actual games will not be there. What do you think? Just because...
Well, yeah, because we're running into things like coronavirus.
Right.
And you're looking at things like, are developers ready to develop for these games? Do they have
right? And
the right
I feel
setups?
like, and especially with the new a new generation of consoles, you don't know what's going to be hit or miss. And so when gaming companies are trying to like prep for it, they're like, here's the specs that you need. Like, okay, and they're trying to get it as best as they can. But at the end of the day, you can't really know, like, okay, is this game really gonna look good to the consumer, or will it look like crap? And so the Xbox lead said the teams are doing a really good job on keeping our hardware on track. I'd say the bigger unknown is probably the game production. Game production is a large-scale entertainment activity now. You have hundreds of people coming together building assets. So, of course, and Spencer, he didn't outright say the Xbox Series will still maintain its 2020 release date, but the lead has confidence in the original launch. And I will say this is a very we're in very interesting territory right now, just because remember when was it the Xbox X? Was it the Xbox? What's the Xbox right now?
Xbox One X?
Yes. What was the exclusive game for that? No, it was the 360. When it was Halo.
Yeah.
And that was the only game that you could really play. And it's like...
Well, the thing is, the Switch also did do that. It also launched with only one really major exclusive, that being Breath of the Wild.
But I will say, the Switch is a handheld.
Again,
yeah.
And handhelds have been dying forever, but the thing is, the Switch is... Breath of the Wild is like a once-in-a-lifetime game. And it's going to come down to what games they can get so far. We know that they're going to have. We know that. We know that they're going to have Halo. We know that they're going to have this new Assassin's Creed game. So it's going to be a matter of, can these studios still keep it together enough to get their hands and get these games to the public in a timely manner?
Right. No, for sure. Last thing we're talking about today. So the Last of Us leaker has been caught, and it's not a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. So Sony officially came out and said, yo, the person who leaked the plot, the storyline, some of the hidden stuff is not a person who is actually a part of Sony or Naughty Dog. Somebody else. That's all we can say right now. Morgan, my question to you is, do you think this is a cover-up, or was it actually a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee?
Because that doesn't make sense. If you're a disgruntled Naughty Dog person and you didn't get paid for the game and you leak information that will make people upset about the game, that means you're never going to get paid as much for the game. So that never made sense to me. It, for me, seemed more like it was a Redditor fantasy.
Right. I agree as well. I don't think Naughty Dog will shoot themselves in the foot like that.
It's not even like Naughty Dog is really in that much trouble.
Right.
Like, The Last of Us is still selling fairly well. I think I saw a Twitter thread that was showing that it was the number one selling game in several countries. So it's not like it is really hurting from this. It's more like it's just Twitter. It's Reddit and Twitter gamers who got it in their head that, oh, everybody I follow is upset about this. So that means that everybody is upset about this, even though it's really not. However, I do see a trend. I see a trend in a lot of people being upset that content creators aren't covering this as much as they are.
Right.
Jim Sterling got hit with being called a Sony fanboy because he hasn't covered it, even though it's not Monday yet. And that's when he covers it.
It's not necessarily Sony. It's Naughty Dog.
Well, Naughty Dog's owned by Sony.
Right.
And there's just been a lot of content creators where they've said that a lot of people hit them up in their emails and said, hey, you're showing a preference because this is Sony, and if this was Bethesda or Fallout 76, you know you would have ran it through. And for me, that doesn't make sense because, for one, it's a story leak. It's a story leak, and they're telling a story, and the thing you're upset about is the story. And so that's not something that is relatively newsworthy, really, and it doesn't make sense overall. And it's just, again, it's a lot of that hardcore, ingrained, toxic gamer people. Like, I was talking to this one guy, and he said it was unrealistic. And I was like, what is unrealistic? He said that it was unrealistic that there were gay people in the apocalypse.
Right.
Like, he looked at me, he said, I think that if there's an apocalypse and humanity is dying off, then you would just stop being gay. Like, gay is just some magic thing.
Right.
That, like, all of, like, your human genome says, oh, we're running out of people, can't be gay anymore. So it's just, and that's really something someone said to me. And it's really upsetting. And for me, what makes me upset about this is people are judging this game based on a couple of videos and some forum post leaks. And that, to me, doesn't... Because we always talk about games are experiences. And you have to build up and love these characters over time. That's why they love Joel and Ellie so much. They're like, we grew with them so much. And then they see a forum post in a video and they're like, oh no, the story's awful. Like, you don't know any of the characters. You didn't grow with them. They're like, well, the main character, Ellie's being replaced by somebody who we don't know. And I'm like, of course you don't know who this person is. You haven't played the game yet. How would you know and be connected to him? And so I think it's just people jumping on this. And the same thing happens with Pokemon and the National Dex. If you look on Twitter, anytime, Marcus, but like whenever you go on Twitter, anytime the Twitter account posts anything, And shout out to whoever runs the Pokemon Twitter account, because I know a few of you guys, they do great work. Anytime they post anything, the first 5 comments of everything is National Dex, National Dex, National Dex. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, at this point, they're not listening to you, and you're just spamming it for internet points. And it's just, for me, it's that one thing that gets on my nerves. It's really upsetting.
Right. So that's that. I will say, boss battle. So earlier this week, you found an old PlayStation 2. So what games really did you think defined you during that era? What games would you say really defined you as just like the gamer you are now during that era?
Well, see, the thing is, I didn't play games a lot during the PS2 era. Because we had a PS2 at Dad's house and our house, but we didn't play it. I think the only game I played was Lego Star Wars at Dad's house. And even when I went downstairs to get our PS2, I didn't see any games.
So that was more him, but the games that really defined me, NBA Street Volume 2. I played that game. I played that game for hours. NBA Street Volume 2, Def Jam Vendetta. It was really cool to play Snoop Dogg. I will also say Fight Night Round 3 was also a very dope game that really helped define me and even just learn like strategy, even though it was a boxing game. I played the first God of War on the PS2. I will also say I gotta go back. I was playing Live 07, or I was playing the live NBA Live games, of course, the Madden. So, just like growing up, you had to be good at the sports games. Like, if you would go to your boy's house and you would lose at 2K or Live or Madden, you couldn't come out. You'd have to go home. So, of course, you had to make sure that you were up to par on your sports games so that you could have some honor to your name. It's just like, yo, I set the bar. I know I can beat y'all. So that it was really sporting games that really helped define me, and it's still like the games I go to now. But close it out for us, Morgan.
All right, y'all. So that's been Dust Off the Cartridge. I hope you guys had some fun. We learned a little bit about some gaming. Looking into the future, of course, we have The Last of Us that's coming out in June. Ghost of Tsushima, don't sleep on that. It's made by the amazing people over at Sucker Punch. If you are one of those people who've been waiting for an Assassin's Creed Samurai game, that's the game for you. That comes out in July. Keep your eyes on that. There is a Microsoft Next Gen trailer showing this week, May 7th. So keep your eyes on that for first gameplay of Valhalla, AC Valhalla. And y'all have a good day. I've been your boy Metro Meta with your man Flo. So catch us up on all of our social media. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to our podcast. And you can follow me at MetroMeta26 on Instagram and Facebook. And you can follow Marcus at Flo's My Hero on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. But have a good day.
Peace.
All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
And we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends. And tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.